Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing? All right. We would like to welcome you to the Sports Foundation 2015 and the summer program. All right. So I want to first and foremost give a round of applause to all our participants. For the summer. To begin our program, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Matthew Weed. Dr. Matthew Weed is totally blind, type 1 diabetic, graduated from Yale, Princeton, and Harvard. Has traveled the world, has done rollerblading, and marathon. I got to step up my game. And a skier and a kayaker. And he's here, he's actually on the cover. Is this the current issue of Diabetes? Current issue. So he's also on the current issue of Diabetes Forecast. And he's here basically to deliver a message about his story to our young people and parents of this great community. And without further ado, Dr. Matthew Weed.
Thanks for the great introduction. I'm honored and happy to be here today. As you just heard, I am Dr. Matthew Weed, and I'm here today to talk with all of you about the importance of taking action to do good and impactful things in your life. Basically, what's my deal? Who am I? Well, I'm a 44-year-old white male. In some ways, I'm totally average. In some ways, not. One of the ways that I'm not is that I seem to have lost my hair a lot earlier than a lot of guys my age. But in many ways, it's the parts of my life that are not average that I want to talk with you about today. Because the lessons that I've learned as I've gone along on my unique journey, and I like to call it unique, and so far everybody around here seems to think it's pretty unique too. I don't know if it's really true or not, but hey, we'll see what you guys think. These are the kinds of lessons that I believe you guys can use to be healthy and successful too, just as I have been. What makes me unusual? Well, the first thing, and something that you've already heard about, is the fact that I'm blind. That blindness was diagnosed when I was only 6 weeks old. I also have diabetes. Diabetes, for those of you guys who don't know, means that your body literally can't use the sugar that you eat in the food that you get. If you can't use the sugar that you eat in the food that you get, you literally starve to death. Unless you get insulin several times a day. My mother, who was not a doctor, diagnosed my diabetes when I was only a year old. I had very profound seizures when I was a little kid that my parents were told were so bad that I only had about a half and half chance of getting to survive to see my 5th birthday. And that it was very likely that I would not live to see 21 years old. I'm now 44, so we've done a little better than that. Before I was 5, I spent 3 Christmases in a row in coma in the hospital. So basically, I was totally, on life support. I was getting all kinds of assistance. So that shows you just how tough those first few years were. When I was 7, I had emergency surgery that killed part of the left eye, of my left eye, because I had pain from glaucoma, which is basically a lot of an overpressure in your eyeball that can literally cause it to explode. Slowly, but still, it basically explodes. And by the time I was 8, I was diagnosed as being totally blind. So, okay, in spite of my challenges, I've done a lot of very unusual things. Let's talk a little bit about some of those. Okay, we may have some sound pickup issues with those videos. Hopefully we'll be able to trick that to work better. The professor who was talking about me basically said that I had graduated from Yale and Harvard and Princeton, which are 3 of the big universities here on the East Coast, and that very few people, whether being able to see and being diabetic or not, have ever been able to do that before. along with those academic abilities, I've also done a lot of other things. For instance, in the slide that you now see, I'm with a group of friends as we were doing a rollerblading marathon, and we were, of course, crossing the George Washington Bridge, which I'm sure most of you guys recognize the bridge, even if not quite that perspective on the bridge. The video that you're going to be seeing now shows me rollerblading with a student friend of mine in Madison, Wisconsin. His name was Mitch, and he was on the men's hockey team there. So one important thing that you guys can think about as you get older and maybe you get involved in sports more is to find ways to help people who may not be able to do sports quite so easily to join in and participate in them to some degree. In this video that Nicole is now going to be showing, I'm skiing up at Gore Mountain in upstate New York. That was taken in 2014. That video happened with a guy named Jimmer Hayes. He's a specialized, he has special training for what they call adaptive skiing, which basically means he's trained to teach me how to go down the mountain. And he's also trained to work with other kinds of people who have all different kinds of other disabilities, whether they're paraplegic, or maybe they don't have an arm or a leg or something like that. He can work with them to do all those kinds of things. So that's a skill that he's learned and that he really likes to share with other people. Sometimes I can't find people like Jimmer, so I can go skiing with basically just good friends that I have who I know all the time. An example of that is the two blonde women that you see in this picture now that Nicole has up. Here you see me with Jen, who is the shorter blonde. She was the one who drove us up to Gore Mountain for that weekend of skiing. And Viola, the taller blonde, was the one who took the video. And she also acted as a ski guide for me in the morning because she's from Sweden and she's very nearly a professional skier, amongst a lot of other talents that she has. So another thing that I like to do is indoor climbing. My friend Jenny, who took these pictures, and unfortunately you don't get to see her, she was one of the people who helped guide me up the wall that I was climbing in these pictures. And then along with two people who are specialized at adaptive climbing, she helped me climb back down the wall so that I could actually get here and talk with you guys about all that I do today. Another thing that I love to do is traveling. In these three pictures, you see me getting on an elephant in India, and you also see me with a very friendly butcher that I met in Hong Kong, China, who thought it was just very cool that somebody like me, who had a disability, would come 10,000 miles from home and meet him, because people in China are not very good about encouraging people with disabilities to get out and do things outside of the home. They generally tend to keep them at home. And in the last picture you see on this slide, I'm with my friends Julia and Susan, who we were walking on the Great Wall, which is in North China, and they were great friends to have me and to help me do that little dream too. All of the things that I've done, and another thing that I've done that's very interesting, and it kind of gets back to the professional side of things, is to help start a $150 million research center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. The person you're about to see in this next video talks about his experience of working with me. He was my boss, and he was the chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Madison before he became my boss. So effectively, he was like the CEO of a big corporation.
He was so competent in the job, about the best associate director I could imagine. So I tended to forget about any disabilities. He was nothing but a ability.
And that's kind of what you guys want to be doing in your lives, is you want to get people to forget about what they see with you, what they think about you, all that kind of stuff. You want them to perceive you for what you do, not what you look like. And that may not always be easy, but it's a very important thing, and it's really down to you to figure out how to make that happen and how to be a strong enough and smart enough person to figure out how to make that happen. And I'm going to talk with you a lot more about a lot of those things. Obviously, as you can see, I've had some big time challenges in my life. And they very much impacted who I am and what my deal is. You guys also have had challenges. And the difference and the thing that we don't want to be different is that I've been very, very lucky to have a lot of people to help me overcome those challenges. Some of those people who've helped you overcome your challenges are in this room right now. And it's very, very important that we thank them for all of their hard work. Let's give them a little applause for that. I had a choice, and you guys have this very much the same choice too. I could be a whiner. I could blame my disabilities and my other problems for my lack of success, or I could choose to become a smart, healthy winner who would look for, see ways to take actions that would not only impact my life, but that would impact the lives of other people too. With all of the challenges that I have in my life, could find ways to be a healthy winner, I'm convinced that all of you can choose to do that as well. You can be winners too. Choosing to overcome my challenges and not whine about them was the first and probably the most important decision I ever took in my life. Of course, we had a little bit of encouragement to make that choice. When I was only 4 years old, my pediatrician said to my mother, either you get Matthew out into the world or he will spend his life in a closet. My doctor was absolutely right. And he was right not only about me, but also about everything about you guys as well. Everything that I've shown you so far in this presentation really says that we all can take action to impact our lives and those of people around us too. Because only you guys have the power to turn your lives into something positive, to do good actions, and to develop a winning attitude that will help you be successful in everything that you do. Next slide. The problem, of course, is that you do need to look for these opportunities to take actions. They're not just going to walk up and smack you in the face, at least not usually. If you do that, then you will impact your life and other people's lives too. That's obviously what I did when my friend Donna Susi said to me, hey Matt, let's prep for a rollerblading marathon next June. Let's try that out. And when my friend Susan said, well Matt, there are 3 of us in China now, I didn't say to her, nah, I don't think I want to come over. I said, let's figure out a way to make that work. And I was able to do that. And I was able to figure a way to come over and have a lot of fun while I was doing it. Obviously, you guys don't have to do huge things like plan trips to China or prep for rollerblading marathons. But you do absolutely, you must do something in your life. You must do positive things in your life. Doing nothing will keep you whining, and it will stop you from being winners. When you see ways to have a positive impact on your life and the people and the lives of people near you, grasp your power, take that action and grab it to yourself and do impactful winning things, not unimportant whining things. Don't find reasons to stand on the sidelines. Stand up tall and see a way to remake the world in a way that will work well for you and for other people too. This is exactly what my friend Victor did when he taught me how to use a computer.
So then Matt started learning how to drive my Macintosh using Outspoken. And it was very much like pushing the car through the mud. That progress is pretty slow because if you've never seen a user interface that's graphical.
I'm sorry, there's a red car being towed out in front?
Yeah.
If anyone has a red car, it's being towed.
That's your car?
Yeah. It's red.
Go see you.
No worries. Oh.
Continuing.
We'll continue the video from that point.
It got to the point where I would take pieces of cardboard, just in different windows, and then take them and move them and close them.
I don't know, so the cardboard was on
a tray.
On a tray?
So you're used to a Mac, you can drag windows, you can double click on icons.
So you learned him like with just cutting out pieces?
You feel it, and you this is what a window's like inside of the icons. So I could take his finger and like trace a box and say, this is what a window is, and in it there are icons. This is where Microsoft Word will be. Over here is where you can run a program to do something else. And then you have different icons that represent hard drives. All Matt needed to be able to do is copy a file to a server, copy a file from a server, be able to send email, be able to receive email, and also print. Yeah.
And why, like, why did you decide to help him out with this? To, you know,
we got to be friends. At this point, it's computing, and I enjoyed hard computing problems or solving with practical smarts a computer problem. I would imagine for a blind person to be using a computer as an undergraduate with access to their reading online, doing it solo without somebody standing next to them, if that wasn't first, he was one of the top 3 in the world.
So, as you can see, my friend Victor definitely didn't stand on the sidelines. He saw a chance to take a few hours of his time and teach me skills that have literally changed my life. He was only 19 years old when we met in college, and we're still really good friends today. So he wasn't a terribly lot older than some of the folks, some of you in this room. Much like Victor, you all have skills that can make a difference for other people, even if not in ways quite as dramatic as Victor did for me. Whether you end up helping your grandmother with her errands, or maybe tutor kids in the neighborhood about math or spelling, or maybe show them how to play basketball, or how to run more safely somewhere, or if you really invent a new way to do something truly impossible, you have the power to take action to impact not only your life, but also someone else's as well. And in doing that, you may well give yourselves a really great future. You know, you may find the thing that you're going to do with your life that is positive and good and makes a difference for you. And also, by the way, gives you a salary and an income and financial security and all those good things that are very, very important. My friend Victor and I found that if you package solving hard problems in ways that are interesting to other people, a lot of people will get up and say, yeah, I want to join you in making things happen. That's a cool thing. Hundreds of people have said yes to me so far. If they hadn't, I wouldn't have had the life that I've had so far and that I'm telling you guys about today. Nearly 800 people have volunteered to help me with the blood glucose monitoring and insulin dosage measurements that I can't do on my own. The problem here is that you're literally getting a little pinhead-sized drop of blood. You're trying to get it into a pinhead-sized strip that a machine can then read to tell you how much sugar there is in your blood. Well, if you can't see, that's pretty hard to do. So these people ended up helping me out with that stuff. And that was really, really important because if they hadn't chosen to do that, I wouldn't be alive today. I would be dead. Many of them have become my closest friends. And in many cases, because they knew me, they've gone on to do things, you know, go to schools that they wouldn't have gone on to, maybe picked up sports or other activities that they wouldn't have done if they didn't know me. Most of them were 20 to 25. Some were as young as 17. One girl that I knew at the University of Wisconsin was only 4 years old when she started helping her grandmother with checking her blood sugar measurements. Obviously, the 4-year-old was, you know, when she was only 4 and she was helping her grandmother, she was a lot younger than most of you guys are. The people who chose to help me were pretty scared because when they started out, because they knew that if they screwed up the tests that they were doing and the drug measurement that they were doing for me, that I would get sick and I might even die, and it would be their fault, or at least they would think it was their fault. It wouldn't really have been their fault, it would have just been bad luck. But still, that's a lot of responsibility for somebody to take on. Still, even so, they stepped past their fear and they said, you know what, I'm going to step up and I'm going to do this. And by doing that, they've made everything that I've done in my life much, much easier than it would have been otherwise. And I want to remind you that these guys weren't a lot older than you are, and they still took life or death responsibility for me. Although I didn't think about it much at the time, being responsible about doing things that wouldn't be good for me, like drinking would have been very bad for me. Eating things that weren't good for me would have been bad for me. Not exercising frequently would have been very bad for me as a diabetic. this was about a lot more than just my health. It was also a signed commitment that I made to the people who chose to take the time, and that's really what being involved with other people is about. It's choosing to take the time to help somebody else. I chose to be responsible and to be respectful of their time that they gave me by being disciplined about my own life and trying to be as productive and helpful to other people as possible. Guys, it wasn't really always very easy. After all, I had to decide to be responsible. I couldn't eat stuff that would be bad for me. I had to avoid stuff that would make my diabetes go out of control. Drinking, taking drugs would have been bad for me. Eating a lot of sugar would have been really bad for me. All these things would have made me sick for sure. I also had to study extra hard because, as my mother, who's a pretty wise old lady, said to me when I was 10, because you're blind, you're going to have to work twice as hard as everyone else just to keep up. And that's really probably true. In fact, I'd say in many respects I may work more than twice as hard. She was right, and not about me. She's also, in many ways, right about you guys, because you probably have some extra challenges in your life too. Yeah, it's really bad, and it's unfortunate that you have to work extra hard, but there are some good things about this, because if you commit yourselves to overcoming your challenges, if you lift yourself up and get over the challenges that life puts in your path, then people will know that you're a winner and not a whiner. If you whine about the things that are a problem for you, then people may not respect you nearly as much. Not being disciplined about my health and my eating schedule and all that kind of stuff would not have been a responsible choice for me. I had to be responsible for my choices, both good and bad. Doing dumb things would have made me sick, and being sick would have been my fault, not the fault of people telling me, hey man, let's go out and eat a bunch of sugar, or drink a bunch of stuff, or whatever. That was all about my choices and my being smart. My father, who was a really awesome dad, by the way, didn't do these things. He always acted as if he had the power to do whatever he wanted and not to take control over his diabetes and change the kind of out-of-control behaviors that he had in his life. He didn't do it. He could have eaten better. He could have stopped smoking. He could have stopped drinking after his 4th car accident in his 20s. He didn't do that. Everybody suffered. And Dad died when he was only 46 years old. Don't be like my father, guys. This is not the way to win. If people ask you to raise your game, grab the chance that fate and those people have given you to be a winner. Lift yourself and everyone around you up, and don't live down to your choices, and don't let people around you live down to theirs. Jalen Rose, probably some of you guys recognize him from basketball. He's a pretty smart guy. He played basketball in the NBA for 13 years. He also set up a really amazing school in Detroit, Michigan. He told the first class of graduates from his Jalen Rose Academy something that is very, very true. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. He's absolutely right. And because only you can decide what kind of person you will be. Once you let somebody else decide for you, then you've given them power that should be yours over your life. It won't come easy. And trust me, folks, it's not going to be painless. Anybody who tells you it's going to be easy is lying to you and probably doesn't want good things for you. But your hard work and your positive choices will be the difference between being a sorry whiner and a responsible, well-respected winner who literally can lift the world. You've been working a lot with Dr. Novotny this summer in the sport program, as well as a lot of other really awesome staff here. He's already talked with you about how important doing things like running or playing basketball is, especially if you do it several times a week. This is particularly good if you can get folks from your family or church to get out and do it with you, because it'll help all of you be healthy. getting people together to get outside to do exercise can also make your neighborhood safer too. As a scientist and a diabetic, I can tell you that sports and physical activities are a really awesome way to get exercise regularly and also do a lot of excellent things like being active, and it's fun, and it helps you oftentimes feel good about yourself. It gives you lots of energy, and it's a great way to make new friends, and it can even help you do well in school, because we know that people who are healthy do better in school. If you're lucky to have friends who help you participate in regular physical activities, that's a great thing. If they help you be fit and healthy, that's awesome. If they don't do that, if they keep you from being fit and healthy, if they keep you from being active and having a healthy lifestyle, then I would strongly encourage you to do everything you can to find friends who will support you in feeling and looking great by being physically active and avoiding drugs and alcohol. You've got a lot of folks like that sitting in this room. You've got a lot of adults sitting in this room, and you've probably got a lot of people in your families and in your neighborhoods who want to help you, but who may not know how, or who may not know that you want the help. I wish my father had created a better support system when he was younger. If he had, he would have probably been much healthier, avoided several very expensive tickets and at least 2 very bad car accidents while he was still healthy. Not to mention 2 years of care in a nursing home while his health was collapsing. Don't wait to ask for help. And don't wait to give it either until it's too late. Because if you wait until it's too late, then it's a lot harder to pull your butt out of the fire and pull somebody else's butt out of the fire. Instead, act early. Ask for help early and offer it to other people earlier. If you need help in being healthy, being able to do your schoolwork, in doing things like that, it's okay to ask for it. I ask for help all the time, and look where I am today. As someone who has offered and asked for help, I know it's easier to offer help than to ask for it. Asking for and accepting help means admitting you're not as strong and cool as you wish you could be. That's actually okay. It shows you know your limits, and it shows that you want to change them. People like me and all of the adults in this room who can help you change those limits will respect you for asking for that help and for wanting to be as healthy and strong and smart as you possibly can be. If people tear you down when you talk about being healthy, working hard in school, avoiding drugs and alcohol and stuff like that, think really hard about whether those people are a good thing in your life or whether they're a bad thing in your life. Finding ways to lift the kind and kindness of the people in your life may be scary, but trust me guys, it's one of the best things that you can do that will not only impact your life, but it will impact other people's lives too. And it will have as much of an impact on your long-term success as doing all these things that we've been talking about, like working hard and being healthy in school and so on and so forth. That's really important stuff. Choosing to be a winner can help you do a lot of things, not only just the stuff that we've been talking about so far. It can help you also in terms of going to college. The 3 people that you see on this picture are all people who worked really hard and were actually offered places in all 8 Ivy League schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really awesome. I wasn't offered places in all 8 Ivy League schools. These guys overcame challenges and they managed to get their stuff done in ways that allowed them to succeed. Colleges know that people like these guys and you don't necessarily have a lot of money, but they will, in some cases, like Yale, Princeton, Harvard, and Columbia here in New York, they have grants that they can actually give you money to go to college. But the only way you're going to get those grants is if you work your tail end off, and if you don't do a lot of stupid things, and if you try to be a leader in your, work to be a leader in your community. That is one path forward. Another path that may be cool for some of you someday is that the German government is looking for people who are smart and hardworking, and it will actually pay for people to come to college in Germany. They get great skills, and they have a really great chance of getting good jobs there after they graduate. But they're not just going to pay for any old random person to come over there. Again, you've got to prove to them that you're that cool and that you're worth their money and their investment before you come over there. As we already talked about, and now we're kind of getting back to we're getting to the brass tacks. Jalen Rose, as he said, the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. He's right. Take action that will allow you to have a winning destiny, because only you can do that. Other people can't do it for you. I'd like to thank all of you for listening to me today and for suffering through the minor video problems that we had. I'd also like to thank Ms. James and all of the other staff of the Sport Foundation, as well as the board, Mr. Cardona, who leads the board, and of course also Nicole, who ran the slide projector for me today.
Well, thank you so much. Give him another hand, please.
Thank you for the chance to talk to you guys.
Anyone have any questions for Dr. Weed?
Yeah, I'm happy to
Parents
talk to folks. Anybody?
Some of you workers.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that he could do all of that, but people helped him, right? So, did he really want to do all of those things, or did he let people encourage him first?
Good question.
Good question.
That is a good question. Sometimes I let people encourage me. You know, an example of that is my friend Susan saying to me, "Hey Matt, there are 3 of us over here in China. You should come." You know, I probably would have gotten over there sooner or later, but certainly having her say, "Hey, we're over here," you know, that showed me that there was an open door that I could walk through and do that.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
Kylie, no questions?
Well, we want to thank you again, Dr. Weed, for coming out.